Hi, Omega Khaos again with another real-life deck profile, and this time it's the last deck profile for this year, my updated Cyberse deck. So of course, this deck has changed quite a lot. I finally got microcoder and cyanide codec, but fortunately I still don't have cyanide mining, which I will probably get next year. And of course now this deck completely focuses on getting on Firewall Dragon Darkfluid. So I guess let's go this deck. So first the monsters. So I use one Cyberse Magician. Of course, really good card, although now with the new version of the deck, you don't actually summon it anymore. We're just going to be sent to the graveyard with something like Cyanide Fusion, for example, and then it's just extra counter for Darkfluid. But you can summon it sometimes as well if you want to. Then I use triple microcoder. So of course it's one of the key cards for this deck, but of course if you would link some code talker, you can use it from the hand as a link material, and if this card is sent to the graveyard for a link summon of a code talker monster, you can search for any cyanide spell trap card. That is pretty amazing, I would say, because you can get all of your important cards to your hand. Then I use one Code Radiator. Pretty good as well, similar effect to microcoder, but instead of searching, it negates your opponent's effects and turns the attack 0. It's definitely pretty good going second, I would say. Then triple Balancer Lord. Really good card as well. Now I have the holo version of the card. Of course, it's very important for the synchro combos in your deck, because obviously if the Cyberse Wicked, you're going to banish it with that card and then search for Cyberse Synchron, and then you will be able to activate Balancer Lord's second effect to better summon that Cyberse Synchron from the hand. So definitely a very important card for this deck. Then of course triple Clock Wyvern, still of course really good, because of course one card link 2, really good. Then for some more new additions, I'm actually using some math mechs as well, because they are level 4 Cyberse extenders. So I use 2 math mech additions. It's level 4, you start the face monster on the field, it gains tons attack, then you press on this card from the hand. So definitely really good, especially to make that Firewall Exceed Dragon and stuff like that, but just generally really good. And I use 2 math mech subtraction, not as good as addition, but still pretty good as level 4 Cyberse extender. Then I use 1 Cyberse Cachet, still pretty good, but since it regards a normal summon, I don't really want to run too many of this card. Then 1 Firewall Guardian, pretty good as well, but again, you don't really want to run too many of this card. Then I use 1 Ladybug, because it is limited unfortunately still, mostly because of Salamangreat, but hopefully it comes to multiples eventually. Then I use 1 Sea Archiver, still pretty good for this set to make a rank freeze, or just a good extender. You can search it out with Cyanide codec as well by summoning a water attribute code talker. Then 2 Backup Secretary, level 3 Cyberse extender, pretty good still. And of course you summon an encode talker, you can search this card out with Cyanide codec. Then double Cyberse Converter, pretty good as well, as a level 2 extender, so pretty good as well. Then I use 1 Link Infra Flyer, because it's pretty good, because obviously with Cyanide codec you summon out the X-code talker, then you can search out this card and then extend your combos further. Then I use 1 Dot Scaper, pretty good as well, air target for Cyanide codec, pretty good. I hope we get a code generator pretty soon, because with that card you can also send to start this card to the graveyard directly from the deck. And the last most in the main deck is one Cyberse Synchro, of course. It's searchable with Cyberse Wicked and stuff like that, so definitely a very important card for your synchro plays. Now, let's do the spell cards and traps, which I only run one. So I use one Cyanide Ritual, of course, so you can ritual summon your Cyberse Magician, although I think most of the time you don't really even use this card anymore, because you don't need to summon the ritual monster. It's just there, so you can search both this card and Cyberse Magician from the deck with Cyber Switch, but it still can be sometimes useful. Then one Cyanide Fusion, pretty good as well, of course, to summon out your Cyberse Fusions. Triple Cyanide Kodak, a very important card for this deck, which it just gets you all of the advantage and extends your combos a lot further for sure. Really amazing. You want to open it this card in your opening hand as much as possible. Then one Cyanide Optimization, pretty good if you need it. You can search it up with Mario Code and stuff like that. Definitely pretty good if you want to extend your plays further. Then I use triple one-time passcode, but it's a Cyberse Extender, that is a spell card, so it combos well with Cyber Switch. Since they summon to level 4 Cyberse token, so you can link summon more cards. Then I use triple World Legacy Succession, of course, really good extender as well. Then one Most Reborn, of course. I don't think I need to explain this card. And the only trap and the last card in the main deck is one Cyanide Conflict, because of course you can search it out with Mario Coder. It's essentially another negation card, very good card for sure. If you can definitely want to search this card out. So that's it for spells and traps and the whole main deck. Now let's see the deck stack. So first, the key card, the main win condition for this deck is Firewall Dragon Darkfluid, which you also see in my new playmat. So essentially, it's a Link 5 with cards 3+ effect monsters. So what it does essentially, if you link summon this card, you count the number of Cyberse monsters that are Xyz, Synchro, Ritual, and Fusion, with obviously different type of summoning types, I guess. And if you have, of course, all of them, all Xyz, Synchro, Fusion, Ritual, you get 4 counters. If less, of course, you get 3 or 2, 1, and you can remove 1 counter to negate your opponent's monster effect, and it's not once per turn, so you can have multiple negates in a single turn. And if that effect was activated in your battle phase, for example, you can attack again, or like in your attack to declaration. So you can attack again and stuff like that. And also it gains 24 attack for each counter on it in the battle phase. So it can have like a huge amount of attack. You can, going second, you can like go the K pretty easily. Definitely a very powerful card. You want to summon it with multiple counters on it, and preferably with protection as well from like Transcode Talker, and maybe the Corner Trap as well. Definitely a very important card for this deck now. Then I use one Topologix Cerberus, pretty good Cyberse Link 4, definitely very powerful. You can just banish everything, and then this card comes back and will have a pretty huge amount of attack points. Then the code talkers themselves, I use one encode talker because it's if I summon it, I can search out the light monster, light Cyberse with Cyanide Kodak, so that's why I use it. And it's just pretty good as well. Like then one transcode talker, because of course really amazing, and of course your main win condition is to obviously summon out this card, and then you will have Firewall Darkfluid co-linked to it, and then both can be targeted by card effects as well. So that's definitely really amazing. Then one Xcode Talker, of course pretty good as well in combination with transcode, but now of course it's just you can search out wind attribute Cyberse monsters with silent codec, so definitely pretty good. Then one shooting code talker, pretty good as well. You can get the extra draws if you go second, and it just of course search out water attribute Cyberse monster with silent codec. Definitely pretty good. And then the one code talker, it's a link to code talker, so that's why I use it. And it's a dark attributes, you can search the darks with silent codec if summon it. Definitely very necessary for this deck. Then some other links that support your other summoning mechanics. So I use one Cyberse Witch, now the super rare version. Definitely really good support ritual, to search for searching out the ritual monster and ritual spell, and then go from there, and then it's an extra extender as well by itself. Then one Cyberse Wit Kit, which can search out your Cyberse Synchron from the deck, or any Cyberse tuner if you wanted to run some others. Definitely pretty good. Then one Clock Spark Toy, of course, to search out your Cyanide Fusion. This is the last link monster I use. And also for some synchros, Xyz and fusions. So I use one Firewall Dragon because now we have more level 4 Cyberse extenders. This card is pretty usable. The only Cyberse link 4 I use is Cerberus, but most of the time it's just going to link off for Darkfluid anyway. Definitely pretty good, I would say. Then I use one Cyberse Reminder, which is the rank 3 for this deck. Pretty good. You can recycle your Cyanide spells and traps and get them back to your hand. It's pretty good, I would say. Again, pretty much for Darkfluid only. Then one Cyberse Quantum Dragon. Pretty good for utility mainly, because you don't really need it to go for Darkfluid, but still really pretty good for sure. Then one Cyberse Integrator, pretty much the main synchro event to summon, because it's really good, because it summons your Cyberse Synchron back. Then you can go from there, either go for like a link summon, you can get the extra draw, or go for a Cyberse Quantum Dragon. So definitely I think it's really good. And then the last card in the X deck is Typlexer Chimera, because it's just a generic, I guess, Cyberse Fusion Monsters. It's just a card to Cyberse Monsters, so definitely pretty good. I don't use Cyberse Clock Dragon anymore. It was only good going second mostly, and the fact is that it had very specific requirements, so that's why I don't really use it anymore. So that was the X deck. So this was my update Cyberse real life deck profile, the final deck profile of this year, and the final video as well. So next year I'm actually going to mainly focus on Master Rule 5 decks, so it's kind of an end to the Reigns era as well, but of course I'm still going to be improving these decks over time still. So I hope you enjoyed this real life deck profile. For now, goodbye and Khaos out.